Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Section 17 podcast. And boy, do we have a good one tonight. I'm your host, Josh Cox, and I'm here with Scott Medlin, the big dog. We're missing our other guys tonight, which, hey, it is what it is. It's basketball season, so we're going to be missing Brian. But Jamie's not with us tonight. You may hear from our producer, Tyler, a little bit later on in the show. But we want to welcome you. It's an off-season episode for football. It is an on-season episode for basketball. We told you we were not going to mix the two, and we have lied. We have absolutely lied, Scott. You know, we are mixing. We are mixing the two. This was supposed to be a basketball-only podcast, but I don't know if you've heard. We got some stuff to talk about inside of the football program, so we're going to take some time to talk a little Darian Mensah. Talk a little bit of legal stuff tonight as well. But before we do any of that, Scott, and then before we obviously talk about Duke's West Coast road trip in basketball that was taken last week, we got to keep the lights on. Definitely got to do that. Yes, and so I'll roll through this. We got to keep these lights on. First of all, we have our friends over at El Rodeo on North Duke Street in Durham for the best in Tex-Mex dining. Hit up El Rodeo, get that queso dip. Rest in peace, queso. Get that queso dip. Can't even make a good football reference for that now, but hit that up. Got a great atmosphere, good solid food. It is right in the old North Duke Mall shopping center. If you know North Duke Mall, you are an OG Durham guy and you're about my age. So anyway, shout out to those guys and thank you, El Rodeo, for your support and your sponsorship this season. Secondly, we got our guy Matt Lunsford, realtor Matt Lunsford Bliven. I do not have Brian's script in front of me, so I'm going to go just straight up. Matt Bliven is a great dude. He's an honest guy. He's really intelligent and knows what he's talking about in the real estate business. Whether you're looking to buy land, you're looking to maybe make some decisions on like rental properties, or you're looking to just buy a house, Matt's your guy. Anywhere in the Raleigh-Durham Triangle area, Matt can help you. He has recently moved to the Chapel Res team, and you can reach out to Matt at mlb@chapelres.com. That's CHAPPELLRES, chapelres.com. Matt's a friend of the pod, but Matt can be your friend, right, and your real estate agent as well. So hit Matt up. We are thankful for Matt and his gracious spirit, the way that he does giveaways, ticket giveaways, and all that stuff, really big. So shout out to our guy, Matt Bliven. And then we play the video, and I think sometimes when we do that, we may lose a little bit of the personal side of this, but do want to give a shout out to our friends at Hometown Air. We're about to play the video, but these guys have been with us for a while, and I appreciate Jamie, Laney, the whole team over there for all that they do. And so real quick, give them a listen here. Hometown Air.
Rise to every challenge, and your home comfort should too. Hometown Air delivers champion-level heating, cooling, and year-round peace of mind. When holiday chaos hits and temperatures fall, we help your home stay at the top of its game. Need a gift idea? Choose the Champion Choice, a Hometown Air service contract that keeps delivering long after the season ends. Call 919-568-3212 or visit hometownairnc.com for your free quote today.
All right, I want to thank our friends at Hometown Air. By the way, depending on when you're watching or listening to this, it's on a weekend. You got to make sure you got some heat going on in your house. We're about to get it, and so if you're living in Durham, the Central North Carolina region and area, you're going to get some snow, some ice, some cold weather. So make sure you're ready. Hometown Air is who you want to call if you need them. So appreciate those guys, and we got the lights on, Scott. Lights are still on.
Hey, and if you do live in this area, I love being gainfully employed, but stay at home, please. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Stay at home unless you're like me. You just like to get out and drive around and stuff. Well, see what you can get. See what you get away with.
You're half northern, unfortunately.
I know. I've been up north a little bit in my life.
Too long.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, well, listen. We were gonna hop right into basketball, and then we were gonna do a mailbag for basketball. And then earlier we were like, you know what? There's just too much going on, and with the football world. And so There's a lot being said out there. There's a lot of truth being said, and then there's a lot of people are. I don't think anybody's necessarily, other than maybe one person out there, that's trying to not say the truth. But like at the end of the day, you got to select and pick through who you listen to. And so obviously, the story that has kind of dominated headlines since last Friday at 4 p.m. Is that former Duke quarterback. Well, depending on how you want to look at that, Darian Mensah did indeed enter the transfer portal at the 11th hour. Literally, the transfer portal closed at midnight, and he intended and submitted his paperwork to enter the transfer portal. And so Duke has until Wednesday, this past Wednesday, which is actually when we're recording, to formally file that. There's a lot going on there. Obviously, it has been kind of the talk of the internet. And Scott, man, just kind of, I know I'll get into some of the details and all the junk, but man, just some initial thoughts from you, man, on when you saw kind of the early rumblings on Thursday, and then they started heating up earlier in the day on Friday, and then we got the news on Friday afternoon. What were your initial thoughts?
I mean, I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I thought that the video that he published a week or two ago, I mean, I thought everything was going to be hunky dory. Thought we were going to have another year, another chance for 9-win, which we still have a chance for that. But just knowing the numbers that he had, seeing all the weapons that we were bringing back and we had gotten in the portal, just thinking we were going to have another great season here in Durham. And then it's almost like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. Charlie Brown goes to kick it, Lucy pulls it out of the way, and that's exactly the way it happened. That's the way it felt like to me anyway, and I know most Duke fans feel the same way. Unfortunately, in 2026, college football and sports in general have become a business. And it's not for the love of the game anymore. It's for the love of the green. And now, granted, I will say this much, and if you offered me $7 million, I would have a hard time thinking twice about it. I mean, if you offered me $7 million to wear light blue, I'd be broke and hungry because there's no way I'm doing that. But if you gave me a real school place that has a chance for a championship, which still hasn't won a championship since the 80s. But anyway, why not? But it's the timing, obviously we jumped on Mike Elko. Everybody did. The way the timing was there. This is far worse because Mike Elko didn't stand in front of anybody. It didn't do a video. Didn't say, "Oh, I'm coming back." No, he left.
Well, he didn't do it publicly. He didn't do it publicly.
Didn't do it publicly, but I mean,
he did do some of that privately.
Yeah, when Mensah did this thing publicly, we were all thinking everything was okay. And then when the rumbling started about lunchtime Friday afternoon, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I mean, it's almost like we can't have nice things as a Duke football fan. And I think that's we joke about the PTSD, we do, and God obviously has a sense of humor. I think that's ultimately, and Duke fans, unfortunately, we're in the crosshairs. Sometimes it feels like, but at the end of the day, obviously not happy. I understand wanting to better yourself, but you can't say one thing and do another. Obviously, he's hurting his reputation, and if things don't go the way he wants to, there's a really good possibility some people in his camp may be looking for jobs here in the next couple months because they kind of help push him over that line a little bit. But hey, it is what it is. He made the decision ultimately, and I understand wanting better for your family, but could have done it here at Duke. Could have kept a great reputation. Could have been a man of your word, and who knows? But he chose to do it a different way, and unfortunately, that's the way he's going to be remembered for no matter what happens. No matter if he wins a national championship, if he's a top 5 pick, top quarterback, 5 quarterback drafted in the NFL next year, he's always going to be known for doing what he did. And, obviously growing up the way we did, not everybody grew up this way, but the way we have grown up, my parents, they always told me, you keep your word. You don't back down on your word. And if I tell you I'm going to do something, whether I want to do it or not, and whether I like the fact that I've got to do it or not, I'm still going to do it because that's the way I was taught. That's the way I grew up. Obviously, we're in 2026 and you can't do that anymore. So I'm going to quit rambling and let Josh take over here because I'll probably say the same things 10 more times.
No, you're good, man. I think you echoed a lot of sentiments of fans and people that are following this. And yeah, I mean, just on the personal side of that, like I agree, Scott. I do think that the sport has moved into a business. I do want to address this. Duke last year, for lack of a better word, let Malik Murphy go. And if you were in the Malik Murphy camp, I believe you would say that Duke did him dirty. If you were in his camp, I think that's fair. I was on the inside of those things, but I was not privy to any of that conversation at that point. But a lot of people are saying, well, Duke did the same thing to Tulane last year. And so let's just put the facts out there. This is completely different than what happened with Tulane last year. At Tulane last year, you had an agent, not a player. You had an agent who did figure out at some point in time during the season that his client might be able to transfer to a Power 4 school. And Duke was on that list, and the talks were had, and Darian Mensah came to Duke. Darian Mensah's NIL contract ended with Tulane in December of last year. He moves to Duke at the end of December last year. So there was no breach of contract. There was no entering the transfer portal when you were under a multi-year contract. So he comes to Duke. It has been well documented, and I'm not here to give specifics on the numbers, but it is what it is, okay? And the numbers don't matter. The only number that truly matters is this number, 2. The number that matters is it was a 2-year binding contract. For the naysayers out there, this is not a pieced together contract. This is a contract that was written by some of the best lawyers in America. They are Duke grad lawyers. This was put through Duke compliance. Every NIL contract, every rev share contract is done through Duke compliance, through the Duke lawyers, and then written by Duke graduates that are like globally known in the law world. So this was not some random AI generated contract that maybe some podunk school used back in the day for NIL. So it's a 2-year binding agreement that did not have a buyout clause. And that is actually, part of why we are where we are, is that, there wasn't a way out of this contract. And to be clear, I'm about to show you as we start to do some screenshots and some tweets, everything was good. There was a 2-year deal signed. At the time, Darien was making the most money, potentially, maybe other than Carson Beck, of any quarterback in the country. A lot of people even ridiculed Duke for overpaying for Darien Mensah. So there was a lot of ridicule. There were some very happy people in the Darien Mensah camp. Darien Mensah himself, Darien Mensah's family, Darien Mensah's agent, Noah Rosenfield, Addie Von Gontard, who's another name that you're probably not hearing a ton more, but that's kind of the brains behind the Young Money agency operation. Though everyone was happy. Everyone was happy. This past month, in the month of January, I'm going to show you a tweet from Noah coming up from Darren Heitner. Sorry, it's from Darren. Darren Heitner is the lawyer. So he's not the agent. Darren Heitner is the lawyer that Darien Mensah's camp and his agency used to negotiate his contract. This was back a year ago. And this tweet was sent on January the 1st of this year. Working with Darien Mensah's agents, which would be Noah and Addie, at Young Money, we reached a mutually beneficial 2-year agreement with Duke in 2024. The negotiation was collaborative and constructive. The right approach to deal making, built on cooperation rather than conflict. And now, reigning ACC champions. January the 1st, the lawyer for Darian Mensah tweets that tweet. So that's just that's the facts. That's still out there. He has not deleted that tweet. So that's where we began with this. Everything is fine. Scott mentioned it was a little bit more than a week or two ago, but I think it was back in December, end of December, where Darian released the decision video. And you could have said that was a little bit overdone because like he kind of did it LeBron-y style a little bit. And now looking back on it, obviously, but releases the video. I'm coming back. I'll be back in Durham, Duke, all everything.
Coincidentally, they both went to South Beach.
They did both go to. They both took their talents, or they're trying. At least Darian's trying. We'll see. Taking their talents to South Beach. So everything's good. Everything's fine. Miami whiffs in the portal on a couple of guys that they wanted. Obviously, Miami is heading to the national championship game. Go Hoosiers. Way to take care of business. But there's a lot going on in the Miami camp. That's right. But they're looking for a quarterback for next year. And so we start hearing rumblings on Thursday. Friday, Darien Mensah enters the portal, much to the dismay of Duke, the Duke football program, Manny Diaz and the staff, and then obviously the Duke fan base. A couple of things that we know. We know that on Thursday, 24 hours before he entered the transfer, or he intended to enter the transfer portal, that Darien Mensah told teammates to their face, more than one teammate to their face, he's not going anywhere. He'll be back. No issues. Don't need to worry about him. He's good to go. Within 24 hours, he had announced his decision to leave Duke. So something happened in the 24 hours. There were some tweets that went out on early about this is the package that Miami has put together for him, including buyout money, and including country club, including bringing a sister from Oregon and giving her an NIL deal. And then a reported $6+ million in NIL money for Darien Mensah, which is a pay raise. As Scott said, I'm not judging someone for trying to make more money. I'm not at all. Scott said for $7 million, he would not wear light blue. I gotta be honest with you. Anyway, I will stop there. But $7 million is a whole lot of. Anyway, hey, listen, I'm not a Tar Heel, but $7 million is $7 million anyway. But anyway, so that's where we're at, right? And so then it's like, what's going to happen legally? And so once again, I want to take us through a couple of these tweets. There was a temporary restraining order. Of course, Darren Heitner loves to tweet, but there was a temporary restraining order. I think this is where we have this. Here's the wording on Duke's temporary restraining order ruling. Essentially, Mensah cannot enroll at another school, play football at another school, or license his NIL to another school. And so Duke was granted a temporary restraining order. This is a temporary restraining order that is going to last until February the 2nd. So what can Darien Mensah do? Darien Mensah can enter the transfer portal. Duke cannot stop him from doing that. Judge has ruled he can enter the portal. However, he cannot enroll at another school, play football at another school, or license his NIL to another school. So it really puts him in a little bit of a pickle. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to know. Duke releases a statement. Here's the Duke Athletics statement. Mr. Mensah has an existing contract with Duke, which the university intends to honor, and we expect he will do the same. To Scott's point earlier, this is a written legal agreement that Duke is willing to uphold and expects the other party, in this case, Darien Mensah, to uphold. The court-ordered temporary restraining order issued yesterday ensures that he does not violate his contract, and the university is committed to supporting all of our student athletes while expecting each of them to abide by their contractual obligations. So you have Duke saying basically, listen, we signed a deal, a fair contract. It was negotiated multiple times. I can say that. I was a part of the Darien Mensah contract negotiations. It was negotiated more than any other contract that Duke probably did back and forth that I know of, as far as that I had any hand in. It was negotiated back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And there was a lot of things that needed to be adjusted in order to satisfy that camp that were adjusted. And they were happy. Everything was good until it wasn't good. So he wants to leave. Duke gets a restraining order and gets a temporary restraining order, says he can't enroll. The contract says that, and the judge acknowledges it and agrees. The big date will be February the 2nd when the next step is taken. And so then I want to read, let's see, I think, there's one more. Well, there's two more. It's one long tweet. But we have here Ross Dellinger's. Upon a request for comment, Duke University announces that. I'm sorry, we actually already read that one. It's actually this one that I wanted us to see. Duke is expected to comply with NCAA rules by entering Mensah into the portal soon, which would be sometime on Wednesday, which is the day that we're recording. However, a judge granted Duke a temporary restraining order prohibiting him from violating his agreement with the school. Violating his agreement with the school, which includes him enrolling at another university and playing football. Duke officials have not entered formal negotiations with Mensah or his representatives over his contract. The school stands by the 2-year deal it struck with the quarterback last year. It pays him roughly $4 million annually. So here's where we're at. We're at the fact that Duke has a signed contract. We have a player that wants to make more money at another school. Two schools of thought. Player empowerment. Players can do whatever they want to. And here's the deal. I'm okay with player empowerment, but it can't be at the expense of breaking a signed contract. I'm all for, listen, if Darien wanted to do this, he should have signed a 1-year contract. And then he could have done whatever he wanted to do, and no one's going to get mad at him. He signed a 2-year deal because that was part of the deal. Where Duke's going to pay X amount of dollar, high dollar for you, but it's going to be a 2-year thing. It's not going to be a 1 year and take off. It's going to be a 2-year thing. So we'll give you more money for staying for 2 years. And so you can't do that. The second thing, in the world of NIL, rev share, college athletics, either contracts matter and they're valid or they're not. It's either valid or it's not. So for Duke is saying our contract is valid, it is enforceable, and Darien Mensah is going to have to pony up. Darien Mensah is going to have to keep his word. Now, does that mean that Duke wants Darien Mensah to be the quarterback next year? I think there'd be a bunch of hoops that would have to be jumped through in order for that to take place. Doesn't seem likely. Does Duke want to keep him from taking his talents elsewhere? Absolutely. And to be clear, Duke has every right to enforce the contract that Darien Mensah, his agents, and his lawyer signed. They have every right to do that. So at the end of the day, what we're looking at is a legal battle. What we're looking at is what could be a landmark ruling in college sports. It could be the type of legal battle that leads to more federal regulation, which is exactly what needs to take place in the rev share NIL landscape. It could really schools, I would say athletic departments, absolutely are pulling for Duke. I'm in this because while everyone is okay with player empowerment and players are now getting paid and they're getting paid great money, there's got to be a line drawn somewhere. And if multi-year contracts aren't enforceable, then let's just throw everything out the window. Let's let guys transfer in between week 4 and week 5 and go from NC State to UNC. Like, let's let a Texas player go to Texas A&M, 2 weeks before their rivalry game. Like, let's let whatever happen. But if we're going to have rules, then let's have them and let's stick to them. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm not a legal expert. I also, how do I say this? I'm not a legal expert. I also am not really, honestly, I'm not like operating hush hush here. As many of you that follow this pod know that I was involved in some of those things during the Darien Mensah contract signing. I'm not trying to hide anything. The contract is what it is. The contract says what it says, and we'll see. So Scott, man, I know I rambled a lot and talked a lot. I hope that it was informative maybe for some of you. But Scott, after us talking through the kind of legal stuff, I guess, man, what do you see? What are your thoughts of these next, once February the 2nd hits this off season, in your gut? I guess, what do you want to see? And then what maybe do you think is the reality?
I think that the Sun Bowl was the last time we'll see Darien Mensah in a Duke uniform. I think that's a fair assessment. And I'm like you. Can can it be made up as far as mending the fence? It can, but that fence, that's a tough fence to mend right now. I think the parts to fix it are on back order. So unfortunately, it ain't happening anytime soon. Um, at the end of the day, we had a great college football playoff. I mean, some of the best games we've ever seen. The national championship was very good. Maybe Miami needed a quarterback to get over the hump, but it is changing the game completely. Obviously, there's so many things about college football that's got to change anyway, and we could spend hours talking about that. They need to change the time schedule. They need to change all this and that and the other. At the end of the day, I don't like the fact from this standpoint of us standing here or sitting here talking about it is that it put Duke in a bind. Now, I'm not saying anything about the current quarterbacks on the roster because they have the potential to be very good. But you don't want to start a redshirt freshman quarterback and a quarterback from somewhere else who had not played big time football. And let's be honest, the crazy thing is we're playing a playoff team to start the season. Tulane. We're going to Illinois to start the season. There is a really good possibility that we're going to get the Dabos here again in Durham the third week of the season. So I don't care who you're putting it.
We go to Coral Gables.
Well, yeah, we go to Coral Gables too. But I don't care who the quarterback's going to be. That's a tough road to hoe. I don't care who it is. So the fact that we were put at a disadvantage, or Manny was put at a disadvantage, stinks. Now, granted, we still have 2 hours left in this day from when we're recording, and tomorrow morning, my goodness, the Darien Mensah thing may get swept under a bunch of other stuff because people not trading, but going everywhere all over the place. And if it happens, it happens. Again, I hate that it had to come down to this, but if you signed a contract, that's it. You're done. That would be like, well, I won't make that. I won't go to that point right here. I'll leave it alone because that's a bad thing. But if you signed on the dotted line, you've got to live up to the contract. If you don't, then I don't care who you are, your employer, whoever is paying you that money, they have every right to get their money back. And I mean, you got to fight it out in court. We'll see what happens. I mean, I hope Duke gets their $4 million back and then some, because we could use it
Yeah.
next year. But it doesn't help matters that Miami got almost $30 million in rev share. Thank you, Clemson and Florida State. We appreciate you guys so much. And they can spend it on whatever the heck they want to, and that's basically what they're doing. They needed a quarterback. Let's be honest. If they had a quarterback the other night, maybe they win the national championship. But as far as I'm
Dang,
concerned,
Carson Beck shade, baby.
I can't stand Carson Beck. But anyway, that's why he didn't want to win in Georgia. Um, I don't care if they never win a game ever again, just because it's Miami. I'm not a
Yeah,
Miami
I'm with you
fan,
on
never
that.
have been. So
Miami
it is
hate
what it
here
is.
also.
It is what it is. I'm looking forward to whoever it is. If it's Dan Mahan, then hey, let's get rally around Dan Mahan and support him.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see all the videos, you see all the pictures of what they're doing in the weight room now with the guys who are here that are committed to stay to be part of the 2026 team. They're already working to get ready for next season. Hey, let's back whoever it is. I don't care who it is, even if it's the guy, the transfer in. Let's follow him. I don't care. But let's back them. We're Duke fans. We've been through a lot of stuff. We've been through 0-12, and we've made it back. We've got 2 9-game winning streaks in years winning 9 games in a row. We won the Sun Bowl. At this point, we've got to be. I mean, it's almost like we were on a cloud until a few days ago. But at the end of the day, Duke is Duke. Manny's going to do his job. That's what we're paying Manny to do. And he has I think, the best group behind him trying to find the players to fill the positions to help Duke go back to the ACC championship game next season.
Yeah, so shout out Banook and his team as the GM. They're out looking for talent. So what does the quarterback room look like? You may be wondering. Just clear up one thing. Terry Walker, incoming true freshman from Indiana, Fishers, Indiana, tore his ACL. I don't know if it's torn ACL. Messed his knee up. I'm assuming that's what it was during the senior football season. So, you would not expect him to be ready to play. Definitely not as a true freshman with no spring ball and no summer, work. Like that's just so really Duke is sitting there with 2 quarterbacks currently on the roster. Ari Patu, who is coming in from Northern Alabama. Is that right? Yeah, North Alabama. Was at Stanford before that. Basically like no stats. Like, so obviously didn't play much. Seems like a little bit more of a run guy. Than just a pocket passer. Really don't know anything other than that about that. And then you have Dan the Man Mahan from here and not far out of the triangle there in Alamance County. And so Dan came in, obviously studied and worked last year behind Darian Mensah, behind Henry Beelan IV. I will say this. I think there's a world in which Dan Mahan is 100% the guy, and that Duke rallies behind him, and that Duke wins football games with Dan Mahan. I as Scott said, if Dan is the guy, then Duke fans got to rally, and Duke's got to rally, and Dan's gonna have to step into some shoes and fill them. And hey, that's how you prove it, man. Like, hey, that you're a ACC quarterback, man. You like this is what you do, and so all for that. I do think Duke is continuing to look. It's not our place to say names. There was a couple of names floated, at least obviously a little bit with the Mendoza kid, didn't go anywhere, but definitely was at least some contact there. And then this other kid from out in California, I forget where he was, San Jose. Where was he at, Scott? The guy that was looking at
San Jose Spartans.
Yes, yeah. So that guy, yeah. And then there could be, all I can say is there could be another name or something out there. So anyway, if it happens, if something happens, everybody will all find out at the same time. So Duke is looking, but I think once again, the biggest danger is no matter if it's Dan Mahan or someone else, currently there's 2 like potential actual quarterbacks on this roster. And that we have learned, if you follow this Duke program long at all, that only having 2 is not enough. It's not enough. There's got to be a third guy in that room. And so once again, this is where Darien Mensah leaves you when he takes off at the 11th hour. And so, all right, I think we're done with that. We've spent a solid half hour almost on it, Scott. So we'll leave it at that. Once again, probably didn't break any earth-shattering news to anyone, but just wanted to kind of process it and talk through it. Duke's going to be okay. Is Duke going to come in as highly touted and ranked as they probably would have with Darien? Probably not. But Duke's going to continue doing its thing. Who knows? This could be a 30 carry a game year for Nate Shepard. And so let's ride whatever. We can ride the Nate train next year. So anyway, all right, making a transition. Obviously this Duke basketball team, I don't know if you guys knew, Duke's playing basketball this season. They decided to field a team. And this team has only 1 loss so far on its resume, which is, hey, how about that? Duke is checking in at 17-1 overall. They've won 6 straight games. They're 6-0 in the ACC. And this past week, they made the West Coast swing, Scott. So after defeating number 24 SMU in Cameron Indoor Stadium, Duke headed out to Berkeley, California. Our guy Ken Jong happened to be there hanging out. Duke took the dub 71-56. Wasn't a beautiful game, but this was the game that started at 11 p.m. If you were a Duke fan, you stayed up and watched it, or you caught it the next day, right? So, whatever you did, check that out. And then Duke went to Stanford, and Duke played this past Saturday in Maples Pavilion. I believe it's the first time ever, if I'm not mistaken, that they played there. Was it? No, I think it was the first time they played on campus at Stanford. I think that's what it was, Scott. I believe I saw that. I think they played out there, but it wasn't on campus.
Okay, I thought we got beat when they had Tiger Woods there back in the day.
Yeah,
But
I don't
I
think
could
you
be
can
wrong. I didn't listen to any of the game, unfortunately, and I can go
gotcha.
into that in a few minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, Duke goes out there. They don't go out there often if they've ever gone out there and played there. Little 80-50 smackdown of the Stanford Cardinal. And so, Scott, we're going to talk about it, but I can't talk about this without highlighting who else happened to go on a West Coast trip last week. Our friend, Scott. Yeah.
Speaking of that $7 million NIL deal to never wear the light blue.
That's right.
How about that? You know, most teams have gone to the left coast from the East Coast in the all coast conference now and split, went 1-1. Duke was the first team, I do believe, to go 2-0. Go figure. But the mighty Rams of Chapel Hill almost gave up more points in the first half against Cal than Duke, the whole game. It was great. But they got beat. They went 0-2. Hate it for them. You hate to see a team lose 2 games on the road like that. Now, granted, they came back tonight and beat up on the Irish, but, I mean, everybody's going to do that. But it's beautiful to see anytime that they lose. I'm looking forward to hopefully 2 weeks from Saturday, them taking another L against the mighty Blue Devils.
Yeah, no doubt. And just to clarify the numbers there that Scott was talking about, UNC gives up 95 points to Stanford. They give up 84 points to Cal. So that UNC defense right now is just garbage, like trash garbage. And they're giving up tons of points. They gave up 36 to the Stanford freshman. And it wasn't even, I mean, he was just having his way.
So you even mentioned the 90 there. Duke only gave up 106 in 2 games. That's not going to win you a lot of championships, boys and girls.
No. So a couple of things to highlight, and we're not going to spend a ton of time talking basketball, just to be honest with you. But a couple of things that I think that are deserving of some talk. And the first thing is the re-emergence of Dame Sarr. So, Dame Sarr has the potential of being an elite defender, and he shows it out here on this West Coast swing. He really, really defended a Day Ames at a high level. Just an incredible defensive player. But here's the other thing. Anything he gives you on the offensive end is just then an added bonus. And we have seen Dame hit some threes. We've seen Dame get in the flow of the offense. And I think if there's a step up that Dame Sarr can take over the next couple of weeks, it would be to become a little bit more consistent on the offensive end. And if you have a consistent Dame Sarr on offense, then his ceiling is just super, super high. So what has Duke done, right? So we know it's been well documented. Duke went through a very, very big defensive slump coming out of the holidays. I think actually the last the game that Duke lost before Christmas as well. But just bad defense. And then Duke came back, struggled still after the holidays in defense. But you saw a resurgence of the defense. And one of the things over the last 2 to 3 games that Duke has done a little bit differently, fundamentally on defense, is they've not switched. Duke was switching 1 through 5 in a lot of the games earlier in the season. And I know that's a simple thing to talk about, but at the end of the day, it does allow you to keep your matchups a little bit better. It allows a guy like a Dame Sarr to really focus in on who he's guarding and stick with that guy. Obviously, there are times when a screen hits that you have to switch. just because of the situation and the scenario. But Duke is doing its best to stay fight through screens, over screens, go under, depending on who the guy is with the ball. I think that has helped. I think that's helped Pat Gongba. Pat is a good defender, blocks some shots and all those types of things. But I think we would all agree that, when he gets switched onto a guard, it's not his favorite place to be. And it's probably not John Shire's favorite thing to see, or Carrawell's favorite thing to see, as he kind of spearheads his defense. So you've seen Duke stay a little bit, and that's been really good on the defensive end. And so Duke has held, obviously, the two West Coast opponents. They've held them at bay and just shooting terrible. So anything you think of, Scott? Any comments on the defense? Maybe some other guys to shout out.
I mean, you were talking about SAR a minute ago, and I just happened to look it up because I didn't. Again, Saturday night was rough when the Denver game was on during that game, so I was watching both and praying and begging and hoping for forgiveness for all the sins I've ever committed. And it still got Bo Nix's ankle broken. So anyway, it is what it is. But SAR only scored 8 points. But just the fact that he's actually spearheaded, Josh mentioned it a second ago, but he's the first guy on the floor now. When there's a loose ball, he's diving in there every chance he can. And I think that was one of the things that he kind of got lost there for about 6 games. And I don't know, like you kind of joked the last time we talked about it, maybe he hit the wall early on the freshman wall. But the fact that he's hustling, and all the guys are hustling. I mean, they're getting on the floor. They're playing great defense. They're doing everything they can. Obviously, if you're only giving up 53 in 2 games. That's a really good thing. And to me, the ACC did us a favor, which is one of the few times that'll ever happen, by giving us 6 days off before we play again. Because honestly, we may get into this in a minute, but these are 2 tough games coming. The fact that we have to play Wake Forest, who is our nemesis. Steve Forbes, for some reason, just does not like Duke Blue. And those guys, when they see the Duke Blue, which same thing they did back when Childress and Duncan were there, they saw red. They saw Duke, man. They thought they were playing like a high school team on homecoming that they should beat by 60. They hit everything they threw up. And then Monday night, they got to play Louisville. So, I mean, Louisville struggled, but it's still going to be a tough game. So, but I'm just glad to see that, like the other night, for example, against Stanford, Boozer took over early. I mean, the game wasn't close long. And for the longest time there, Boozer was winning. But he is so smooth with the basketball. I mean, he's going mid lane, switching hands, going up. Then you look down on defense, he's blocking a shot and he's hustling down there with the ball. You don't get to see that. And I think that's one of the things that I don't know if we appreciate as much. I mean, the last 2 years, we've gotten to see 2 of the better players in the pro big name players. And the fact that they're just really fundamentally sound is a great thing. And, like Josh said, it does seem like the team is kind of rounding, getting better each game. I'm hoping the break doesn't hurt, but it is nice to see them flowing. And, I mean, we're getting ready to hit February 1st, and it's going to be 6 weeks of pure madness. And it's going to be all over the place. You're going to get everybody's best shot. And you got to play Carolina twice. And I don't care what Carolina, you know as much as I do. It doesn't matter what their record is. Duke Carolina's Duke Carolina. And it's fun no matter who's playing, where they're playing, if it's in the backyard, in Cameron, in the Dean Dome, or wherever that crap place over there is. So.
Yeah, no, I want to highlight real quick. Speaking of back to the Stanford game, Scott, the Cameron Boozer stat line, 30 points on 12 of 17 shooting, 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, 14 rebounds, 7 offensive, 7 defensive, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 block, 4 steals, 0 turnovers in 33 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, that's incredible. Incredible. Now, the blueprint was there thanks to our friends from Chapel Hill, because Wilson and Vassar Is that what you say his name? They both had really good similar. They both had really good games earlier in the week against Stanford as bigs. And so I went into that game thinking like this could be the Cam Boozer / Pat Gongba, game. But the only place that Cam Boozer is leaving, he's still leaving some things out there is like the free throw line. He left 4 out there on the free throw line this in that game. I do think that is a next level for Cam. I think there's 2 things Cameron Boozer can do to take his game to the next level. One of them is free throws. He's probably each game probably missing maybe 3 points on his points per game average based upon 3 free throws. And then I would like to see, I'm not calling him out in any way, I'd like to see his defensive effort. He gets lost a little bit on ball rotation and reversals, loses his man every now and then, the awareness on defense. I'm not saying he's not giving effort. I'm just saying like a little bit more of a concerted effort on defense. As we've seen with Dame and Nick Amenia and, Caleb Foster and even Caden Boozer. You see that obviously with Malik Brown, like the freak of nature that Malik Brown is. But you'd like to see Cameron really be the leader, even on the defensive side. And I'd love to see him take that next step.
I would say, I'm going to be one to harp on this all season, and it irks me. Free throws. Now,
Yep.
Granted, the Stanford game they went 20-28, which is really good, but it's just still only shooting 70.2% from the free throw line as a team, and they're getting in situations where it's the front end of 1-and-1s they're missing. Now, if you make the first one and miss the second one, that doesn't hurt as bad. But if you're doing that 4 and 5 point times a game, that's 5 points left on the free throw line. And it's something you got to get better at as the season goes on, because when you get to the tournament time, these coaches are watching the same tape that we know. They're going to see who the people to foul are. I mean, and I'm not talking bad about Slim at all. Slim's missed a couple free throws, and he's a 90% shooter. So I don't know what it is. I mean, when I was in school 75 years ago, that was about the only thing I could do right was hit free throws. I had the form down. I couldn't shoot to save my life, even from 2 foot. But I could hit free throws. That's the only thing I could do right. So I don't know. There's got to be something to it, and it's probably just something simple that we just don't know we're missing as we're watching.
Well, yeah, and at the end of the day, like obviously these guys have form and they, whatever. I don't know if it's reps. I do know there's a major difference between shooting a free throw in an empty gym and a free throw with pressure. And I don't know. I do trust the clutch gene of this team. I do trust the Caleb Foster clutch gene, who's historically not a good free throw shooter. I do trust Cameron Boozer clutch gene. I also trust that like Pat Gongba actually shoots the ball very well from the free throw line, even though his numbers this year have not been as great. But he does shoot the ball well. But anyway, I do think that's an area of improvement, Scott. To your point on the season is that you see the Duke defense continue to step up, and you see the Duke shooting the ball from the free throw line better. So we'll go into go ahead, Scott.
Let me throw this in real fast. I just happened to notice when you said that. Cameron Boozer has shot 51 more free throws than the next closest person, which is Pat Gongba on the team.
Well, so he's getting to the line. Look, he's got a little bit of I don't like to say this. He's got a little bit of Tyler Hansbrough in him. In the sense of his footwork is so good. Like it's so good. And he's able to really pivot and move. And I don't know, man. I don't want to I don't know. It's just solid, man. It's really solid, and I'm a big fan of what he's doing.
He doesn't walk every other time he touches the basketball, though.
That is also true. That is also true. But anyway, well, listen, we want to move into another segment, and this is a basketball segment that we do. I'm trying to get a good graphic up here for it. We'll see let me see if I can grab this real quick. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. We're going to see if we can pull this in. Nope. Oh, well. We're going to do a little bit of Duke in the NBA. And our guy for Duke in the NBA is none other than the Slim Reaper, the KD lookalike, the pride of Kinston, North Carolina, Mr. Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, who had been forgotten. He had been lost. Didn't know what was going on with Brandon Ingram. I might have this picture here in a second. Oh, man. Boy, do we have it. We're going to throw a picture of old B.I. up here. Josh done come through in the clutch. There's our guy. There he is.
Got the smile on his face.
That's right, man. Brandon Ingram is happy, and that's good to see. Brandon Ingram spent a lot of time where it seemed like he wasn't happy. And so he's obviously came to Toronto via the New Orleans Pelicans and the trade there. But Brandon Ingram has rejuvenated. He's there alongside his fellow Blue Devil, RJ Barrett, who we're not highlighting in this podcast. You just want to read a little bit of his stats. Now, these are not mind-blowing stats for Brandon Ingram, but I want to highlight the consistency. Brandon Ingram is averaging 21.7 points a game. That is this is the 8th year in a row that Brandon Ingram has averaged over 20 points a game. Every season with the Pelicans, beginning in 2019 up until this season, he has been over 20 points a game. He's shooting 47% from the field. That's better than many of his other years. 36% from three, 83% from the free throw line, rebounding the ball, playing good defense. His plus minus, he's positive on plus minus. And not only that, but very importantly, his Toronto Raptors are currently sitting in the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. So I want to give a shout out. Back. That's right. I want to give a shout out to Brandon Ingram. Listen, the guy's been through it, man. The time in LA, the trade to New Orleans. They tried to force feed him in with Zion. Tried to force feed it. Didn't work. They tried to compliment and it just didn't mesh. Gets a fresh start in Toronto, and I couldn't be happier for old BI. Scott, you got anything about BI?
I do have a funny story.
Come on, bring it.
So his freshman year when he was here in Durham, this was back when Northgate Mall was actually Northgate Mall. And we were going to a graduation there at the school, and we happened to stop by at one of the shoe stores, and we're walking through. My wife was with me, and she's like, that's the guy from Duke. I'm like, no, it's not. She's like, yes, that's him. So I walked out in the mall and looked, and I saw him. So he came back up our way, very kind, very nice, and actually sat and posed for pictures with both of us. So I really appreciated that fact. My wife loved it. And she's always liked Brandon Ingram before that because he was always a really good guy, really nice, well met, had great manners, and can appreciate that.
Yeah, B.I. solid, man. B.I. solid. He was a big recruiting win for Duke because that was a UNC guy through and through, or so we thought. Even though he was a Duke fan as a kid, I understand all the history there, but really thought he was going to end up following the Kinston boys.
Yeah, that pipeline got clogged up that day.
Yeah, well, look, man. Before we go, we're going to bring on old producer Tyler, man. We're about to bring this guy on. He's going to turn his. Got to get him to turn that. There we go. All right, you about to bring him in? Yes, sir.
What's up? What's up?
Tyler with the Hornets. Let's see the Hornets, man. Pull that down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. The fighting Con Knipples.
Yeah, got the Mitchell and Ness. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, I love it. So we've done a Con Duke in the NBA. We got to do a Sion at some point in time because man, Sion is definitely in the he's improved his handle and is a viable option for Charlotte. Is in the rotation. And it's just exactly what you'd think he was going to be. But this isn't the Charlotte Hornets podcast.
But he's also the guy that they rely to inbound the basketball when he's out on the court.
Scott, why you got to say that?
That's exactly what what's his name says. Del Curry said during the broadcast last week.
Listen, man, I was going to try to be positive about everything we said
I am
tonight.
being positive. I'm just saying he got better as he went to a pro. There we go.
Maybe he would that was the Achilles heel last year and didn't see it coming until it happened in the Final Four. But anyway, so Tyler, man, we're talking about BI, man. Was Brandon Ingram in your? I mean, I guess you're a little bit younger than us, but Brandon Ingram was probably what, like high school graduation-y time for you? Was that?
No, I was in college.
In college, yeah, you're already out.
Yeah,
already out of high
because
school.
who else did BI play with? Well, did he play with Grayson?
He played with
Yeah.
Grayson. Yeah.
Because Grayson's timeline of college matches up exactly with my timeline in college.
Okay, yeah. So you'd have been in school because Grayson. It was like Grayson's second or third. I forget what year it was. May have been the senior year.
Yeah.
But yeah, they played well off each other. We got to do a Grayson shout out too in the Duke and the NBA. But yeah,
Grayson's my all-time favorite Duke player.
Yeah, man, you tripping. But no, that's cool, man. So yeah, Tyler, man, we got some off-season plans, man. We're not gonna give away.
We got some cool off-season content in the works, so just keep a lookout. It might be some full episodes, might be some shorts, but or some reels, but we got some stuff cooking.
Yeah, for sure. We want to continue to provide different content. Scott's got some baseball guys we're already kind of looking at. Want to get on and talk about their season as well. And so we're looking forward to that, man. And so Tyler's helping us with that. We got some good ideas. We think you're going to appreciate it. It might be just us with some of these things, but we also might be bringing on some players to kind of some football players and whatnot to do some stuff. And then a few of you have been asking for can we try to pull on some former players and stuff? And we'll see. We do want to bring you more content in the off season than what we've been bringing you. And so we'll see how that goes. I'm down to talk to players. You guys just got to watch and listen because historically, when we do player interviews, our views and listens are not good. So you guys got to help us out with that. So hey, listen, if you're still watching, comment who you want us to talk to. Which former Duke football players, we'll go football, do you want us to talk to? Because if we get a bunch of the same name, we'll reach out. We can definitely get in contact with former Duke football players, and we'll get them on. But we're not doing it unless we got some people.
The only really, really good traffic former player interview that I can remember was Brady Quinn, but that was also Notre Dame College Game Day week.
Yeah. It was also not a former Duke player, and
I'm just thinking former player in general.
Yeah, and I think that also was we did a ticket giveaway for that on the YouTube. So. That was our all-time most YouTube for sure. But I mean, look, we could have a Fat Boy Friday up in here with Dwayne Carter. We could make everybody mad and bring on a little Riley Leonard. That made everybody wouldn't know what to do with themselves. We got maybe like a Brandon Johnson, would be a good one. Maybe a little GB, little Graham Barton.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Graham probably wouldn't come on, man. Graham is a hard dude to get a hold of, man. Graham does not like answering his phone. Just
ask Heather, she'll tell you.
Yeah, he does his own thing. So anyway, but yeah, who do you want to see? Duke fans, let us know. We'll do our best to do something. But yeah, man. Well, listen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. If you've not yet subscribed to the pod, please hit the subscribe button. Comment, share. This is a dual episode. We will not be doing many dual episodes unless we have to. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the Darien Mensah legal battle, but if something crazy happens about the time we're going to record our next basketball podcast, maybe we'll give you an update. That's not our intention. Our intention is to make this basketball centric or football centric or baseball centric and kind of move from there. So we don't necessarily want to mix these worlds up very often. So Scott, you got anything to say before we depart?
If you go out in the elements, make sure you already get your milk and your bread so you can have your milk sandwiches, and stay safe because I really don't want to have to take a phone call from you and have to get you out of the ditch or off the highway.
There you go. Tyler, you got anything?
Yeah, get ready for this 22 inches of snow.
That's right, baby.
Yep.
Get ready. Get ready. Well, listen, Duke fans, keep it locked here. Your Blue Devils play Wake Forest. I'm assuming they're playing on Saturday, playing Wake Forest. They're going to make that happen. Duke turns around quickly on Monday, potentially to play Louisville. Going to be 2 really good games. Keep it locked. We're gonna keep covering the team. We're gonna keep tweeting. We're gonna keep hitting it up on Press Row. Stay locked to our social media on our Facebook as well as we kind of walk through this Darien Mensah drama. We'll try to give you all the information about that Duke quarterback room that we can possibly give you. But for now, for Scott Medlin, for the absent Jamie and Brian, for producer Tyler at Splash Obi, hit him up. I'm Josh Cox, and this has been another episode of the Section 17 podcast.